Hi viewers, hope you're all doing well. In today's type study of algae, let us look into a beautiful organism named Spirogyra. Now this organism belongs to the division Chlorophyta as per the Smith system of classification. So Smith classified all the algae into 7 divisions, one of which is Chlorophyta. Chlorophyta can also be commonly called as the green algae because they contain a very high quantity of the green pigment chlorophyll, which imparts them this color. So that is why this group of algae or this division of algae is also commonly called as the green algae. Under Chlorophyta, Spirogyra belongs to the class Chlorophyceae and order Zygnimales. Now, in certain systems of classification, this order is also recognized as order Conjugales, as we will be seeing in the future slides. Conjugales is named as conjugales because it follows the sexual system or sexual mode of reproduction called as conjugation. So the order is called as Zygnimales under the Smith classification. Family is Zygnimaceae and the genus is Spirogyra. Now, this genus is having several different species of importance. Some of the species or important ones that I have listed out over here include the Spirogyra condensata, Spirogyra adnata, Jogensis, Rhizopus, Dubia, etc. There are more than 300 species. So, these are only a few of the important ones that I have shown over here. Spirogyra occurs in the freshwater bodies, but these freshwater bodies are typically the still water bodies or the slow flowing bodies, and it does not occur in the fast moving rivers. So it can be seen in the ponds, pools, lakes, the freshwater ditches, or even in the slow flowing streams. And it occurs in all of these water bodies as a green filamentous alga floating freely. So it is found on the surface of the water, and because of its slippery nature, as can be seen in the picture, because of its slippery nature, it is also called as water silk or pond scum. These are the common names that are given to Spirogyra. So this organism is found in floating in these freshwater bodies. That is the occurrence of Spirogyra. When we look at the thallus structure, the thallus is consisting of a simple and unbranched thread which is several centimeters long. So this thread is what we call as the filament of the organism. And the filament is made up of a row of cylindrical cells. The one such type of cell is shown over here. So many such cells are arranged end to form the final filament. And when I say cells, it means few hundred cells. So it's a very long filament, and this filament is made up of several hundred cells which are joined end to end. One such cell has been shown over here for our study. Some of the species are attached to the substratum initially with the help of rhizoids, and then later in their life they become floating or they are found as planktonic nature. The cell wall is the outermost layer or the outermost coating of the cell. So every such cell which is forming the filament in Spirogyra is having cell wall as the outermost layer, as you can see over here. And this cell wall is made up of two concentric layers. The outer layer is made up of pectin, which is what gives it a slimy feel when it dissolves in water. And the inner cell wall is made up of cellulose. So these two layers are found in each of the cells that are comprising or that are making up the filament. Inner to the cell wall is the protoplast. When I say protoplast, it includes the plasma membrane or the cytoplasmic membrane, the cytoplasm, and all the organelles. Remember that it is a eukaryotic cell, so it shows the presence of all the membrane bound organelles such as nucleus, mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, etc. Of importance or of note here is the chloroplast. Now the chloroplast here is in the form of a ribbon shape, or it is spirally coiled or spirally twisted. That is the reason this organism is getting its name called as Spirogyra, because as you can see here, it is having a ribbon shaped spirally coiled chloroplast which is having several pyrenoids embedded in it. So the chloroplast is a long ribbon shaped structure extending from one end of the cell to the other. And as you can see here, it has several pyrenoids that are attached. These pyrenoids, like I have told you in the previous classes, are structures where the dark reaction of photosynthesis take place, or where the starch is actually being formed. The cytoplasm of the cell is usually found as a thin lining or periphery close to the cell wall. That is what can be seen over here in the cross section. So the cytoplasm has been pushed to the side of the cell or to the cell wall because of the large central vacuole that is present here. The central vacuole is filled with cell sap and is surrounded by the membrane that we term as tonoplast. So it is rich in tannins, organic and inorganic compounds. The nucleus is held, it is in the center of the cell and it is held with the help of the cytoplasmic strands. So this is the structure of each or individual cell of the Spirogyra filament. Now this organism shows both asexual as well as sexual modes of reproduction. The asexual modes of reproduction are by fragmentation and aplanospore formation. The fragmentation is when the entire filament gets broken down into pieces and each piece gives rise to a new filament. Aplanospores are spores that are non-motile and thin-walled spores. So this organism is known to form the aplanospores as an alternative for asexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction is by the process of conjugation. Now conjugation here can be also termed as aplanogametic isogamy. The reason is the gametes that are fusing with each other, the male and the female gametes that are fusing with each other are identical and they are aplanogametic, which means to say that they differ only in their behavior. They have no morphological differences at all. It is just the protoplast of the cell which now behaves like a gamete. Hence, it is called as aplanogametic isogamy. So, one of the gametes which is active is termed as the male gamete and the other one which is more passive is termed as the female gamete, but they look identical in their morphology. So the conjugation can be of two types. When we say conjugation, it means the fusion of the entire contents of two vegetative cells. That is the meaning of conjugation. And this conjugation can be seen as scalariform conjugation or lateral conjugation. Whatever is the type of conjugation, at the end, the sexual spore that is formed is called as the zygospore. So let us look into what are these two types of conjugation. The first picture shows the scalariform conjugation, wherein the conjugation or exchange of cell contents happens between two opposite cells of neighboring filaments. So this is seen usually at the night when the filaments come together. As you can see, the filaments are exactly alike morphologically. So the filaments come together, they lie parallel to each other, and then the process of conjugation starts. They secrete a large amount of mucilage initially, which holds them together during the entire process. And at the point of contact, there is a small tube-like structure that is being formed. So wherever they are coming in contact, there is a small outgrowth that is initially formed, a peg-like outgrowth, which develops into a tube-like structure and pushes apart both the filaments. This tube is called as the conjugation tube. The wall between the tubes is getting dissolved and now we have a continuous passageway which we call as the conjugation canal or the conjugation channel. Through this passageway, one of the cell contents, so the entire protoplast of each of the cell that are now participating in this conjugation will now behave like the gamete. The entire protoplast is now behaving like the gamete and it gets shrunken. So the gamete, to form the gamete, it is getting shrunken and getting rounded by the loss of water. Now we call that as an aplanogamete. So it was initially the protoplast, but now it behaves like a gamete, a rounded structure. The one of the cell's gametes, now we term this as a male cell because this is moving into the next cell. So the male gamete migrates into the opposite cell, which is the female cell or the female gamete, by amoeboid movement. It does not show flagella, it is moving with the help of amoeboid movement. So once the gamete has moved into the female cell, the two gametes then fuse with each other to form the zygote. So the zygote gets covered with a thick dark wall and now that is called as the zygospore. In case of lateral conjugation, it is the same process essentially, but the only difference is that here the conjugation occurs between two cells of the same filament. So two adjacent cells are now forming papilla-like outgrowths and then these outgrowths will keep extending. The protrusions are keeping on growing. The septum between the two cells dissolves and through this conjugation canal or passageway that is established, we now have movement of one of the cell protoplasts into the next one. So this is the male protoplast over here. This is the female protoplast. And again, we have formation of the thick-walled zygospore. So zygospore formation is common, whether it is scalariform or lateral. But when we see in nature, scalariform is more commonly seen with respect to lateral. Lateral conjugation is quite rare. Once the zygospore has formed, now that zygospore will undergo germination. When the zygospore is undergoing germination, so the cell is going to release the zygospores by the destruction of the cell wall. As I told you, the zygospore is having a thick wall, so it can withstand dryness, desiccation, and the other unfavorable environmental conditions. Prior to germination, the zygospore which is now diploid, will undergo meiosis. So that is what is shown over here. It was a diploid nucleus there that undergoes meiosis initially, forms 4 haploid nuclei, of which 3 degenerate and 1 remains functional. So this functional nucleus is now going to help in germination of the zygospore, and once it germinates, it forms a simple filament resembling that of an adult Spirogyra. So this is the process of zygospore germination as seen in Spirogyra. What we have studied about today is the occurrence of Spirogyra, which is also called as pond scum or water silk, because it is a silky or a slippery thread that is found floating in freshwater bodies. We have studied about its thallus structure, which is mainly characterized by a ribbon-shaped chloroplast, and then we have looked into its asexual and sexual modes of reproduction. Hope you all have understood and enjoyed today's class. Hope to see you in the next class. Bye.